One of the biggest questions I get from people who are thinking about relocating to Tampa isn't actually about the neighborhoods. It's, can I find a good job? And I get it. Buying a house is exciting, but before you can start thinking about neighborhoods, restaurants, or what you'll do on the weekends, you need to know you're moving somewhere with opportunity. The good news is that Tampa has become one of the strongest job markets in Florida. Over the last several years, we've seen companies relocate here, existing businesses expand, and the population continues to grow. Every one of those things creates jobs. Now, that doesn't mean every industry is booming or that everyone should pack up and move here tomorrow. Some careers are definitely in higher demand than others. Hi, my name's Alyssa, and I'm a local resident and realtor to Tampa, and I absolutely love sharing with you about the city and all the amazing things it has to offer for both those of you who already live here and those of you still trying to decide whether or not Tampa is your next move. If you found this fun and helpful, be sure to hit the bell so you get notified when I post new videos. And if you are thinking about making the move to Tampa, click the link below to download my relocation guide or set up a time for us to talk one-on-one. So today I want to walk you through the industries I see growing the most here in Tampa, and more importantly, who I think Tampa is a great fit for if you're considering a move. I'm also going to mention some of the biggest employers because I know many of you are researching jobs before you ever start looking at houses. So let's jump in. If I had to pick one industry that I would feel the most confident relocating here without worrying too much about finding work, it would probably be healthcare. Healthcare has been one of Tampa's biggest industries for years, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Part of that is because Tampa continues to grow. More people moving here means more hospitals, more specialists, more outpatient centers, more medical offices, and more demand across the board. When people think about healthcare in Tampa, these are some of the names you'll hear over and over again. Tampa General Hospital, Moffitt Cancer Center, Baycare, Advent Health, HCA Florida, Orlando Health Bayfront, and USF Health. Those aren't small hospitals. They're some of the largest healthcare employers in the entire region. And what's nice is that they're not all concentrated in one part of Tampa. You'll find hospitals and medical campuses spread throughout Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco counties. So whether you're looking in South Tampa, Wesley Chapel, Riverview, Brandon, Clearwater, or St. Pete, there are opportunities throughout the area. One thing I think people sometimes overlook is that healthcare isn't just doctors and nurses. Maybe you're an x-ray tech or a respiratory therapist. Maybe you're a physical therapist or occupational therapist, a medical assistant, lab tech, healthcare administrator, or maybe you're more behind the scenes keeping things running like IT support, or you work in medical billing. The list goes on. Healthcare is one of those industries that supports a huge number of careers. And because Tampa has such a large retirement population, in addition to all the families moving here, there continues to be steady demand for healthcare professionals. If you're already working in healthcare and thinking about relocating, I honestly think Tampa is one of the easier places to make that transition. Now, this one surprises a lot of people. When people think of tech, they usually think of other well-known areas, and Tampa doesn't always make that list, but I really think that it should. Over the last several years, Tampa has quietly become one of the fastest growing technology hubs in the Southeast. There's a lot happening here in terms of cybersecurity, software development, cloud computing, fintech, and artificial intelligence. One of the biggest names is ConnectWise, which is headquartered right here in Tampa. If you work in managed IT services, then you've probably already heard of them. Another company you've probably heard of is KnowBe4, one of the country's largest cybersecurity training companies. Then there's ReliaQuest, another Tampa-based cybersecurity company that's grown tremendously over the last several years. You'll also find companies like Rapid7, along with a growing number of startups choosing Tampa because it's less expensive than markets like New York, Boston, or California. One thing that's helped fuel that growth is talent coming out of USF and the fact that so many businesses have relocated operations to Florida. And it isn't just software engineers. Maybe you work in project management or product management, customer success, data analytics, or network engineering. Maybe marketing, sales, HR, or finance is your thing. Technology companies hire for all kinds of positions. The other thing I like about Tampa's tech scene is that it still feels approachable. You're not competing in a market that's completely saturated. There are networking groups, startup events, tech meetups, and a growing community of professionals who actually want to connect with each other. If you're someone who's been working remotely and you're thinking about relocating, Tampa is also a great place to consider because so many people here work hybrid or remote while still enjoying everything the area has to offer. One thing I will say though is that if you're relocating specifically for a tech job, I'd encourage you to start applying before you move. The opportunities are definitely here, but it's always less stressful when you already have something lined up before making a cross-country move. And if I'm being honest, that's advice I give almost anyone relocating, regardless of the industry. Another industry that I think flies under the radar is financial services. A lot of people don't realize just how many financial companies have a major presence here in Tampa. Most people have heard of Raymond James since they're headquartered in nearby St. Petersburg, but you've also got companies like JP Chase, Citi, USAA, and FIS, along with a growing number of financial technology companies that have offices throughout the Tampa Bay area. One of the reasons so many financial companies have expanded here is because Tampa has a strong talent pool, no state income tax, and it's a much more affordable place to do business than cities like New York or Chicago. So if you're in banking, wealth management, financial planning, compliance, accounting, underwriting, risk management, or operations, Tampa has a lot more opportunities than people realize. And it isn't just jobs that work directly with money. These companies also hire people in marketing, recruiting, human resources, IT, legal, project management, customer support, and executive administration. That's something I always tell people who are relocating. Don't automatically cross an industry off your list because you think I'm not a financial advisor. Large companies need a lot more than just people you see working directly with clients. Now let's talk about one of the industries you can literally see happening all around you: construction. I don't think you can drive around Tampa for very long without seeing a new neighborhood going up, roads being widened, apartment buildings under construction, or commercial developments breaking ground. I've joked before that if you leave town for 6 months, you'll come back and wonder where half the new buildings came from. Tampa has been growing for years, and that growth doesn't happen without people building it. If you're an electrician, plumber, HVAC tech, welder, heavy equipment operator, carpenter, roofer, concrete finisher, painter, or in another skilled trade, there continues to be strong demand throughout the Tampa Bay area. The same goes for people in construction management, estimating, project management, engineering, architecture, surveying, and commercial development. It's not just residential construction either. There are new medical offices, retail centers, industrial buildings, warehouses, schools, hotels, and mixed-use developments going up all over Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas counties. As a realtor, I probably notice this more than most people because I'm constantly driving around different parts of the Tampa Bay area, and no matter where I am, there's usually something new being built. That continued growth creates a lot of opportunity for people in the trades. One thing I also appreciate about Tampa is that the skilled trades are respected here. College isn't the right path for everyone, and some of the people making a great living in this area are electricians, HVAC techs, plumbers, and contractors who have built really successful careers. If you're already in one of those fields, I think Tampa is a market that's worth looking into. The next industry I wanted to include isn't always the first one people think about, but it's a big part of Tampa's economy: logistics. Part of that is because of our location. You've got Port Tampa Bay, which is Florida's largest port by cargo tonnage. Add in major highways like I-4, I-75, 275, Tampa International Airport, and you've got a region that's building and moving people and products. That's attracted a lot of distribution centers, manufacturers, and supply chain companies to the area. So if your background's in logistics, warehouse operations, purchasing, inventory management, transportation, fleet management, manufacturing, or supply chain, there are a lot more opportunities here than people expect. And it's not always the flashy industry people talk about when they're relocating, but it's an important one. And as Tampa continues to grow, the need for goods, materials, and infrastructure grows right along with it. One thing I've learned after helping so many people relocate here is that sometimes the best opportunities aren't always in the industries making headlines. Sometimes they're in the industries quietly keeping an entire region running. The last industry I want to talk about is one that most people expect to hear: hospitality and tourism. But I don't want you to think that this means hotels and restaurants, because it's so much bigger than that. Tourism is one of the biggest drivers of Tampa's economy, and because of that, it supports thousands of different jobs. Of course, there are opportunities in hotels, restaurants, bars, and resorts, but there's also event planning, marketing, sales, property management, catering, entertainment, convention services, sports management, cruise operation, and attractions. Think about everything Tampa has to offer. We've got the cruise port, professional sports with the Buccaneers, Lightning, Rays, and the Tampa Bay Sun, as well as theme parks and attractions like Busch Gardens, the Florida Aquarium, and Zoo Tampa. And of course, we can't forget the entertainment aspect of Tampa: major concerts and conventions, the annual Gas Boiler Parade, and the Marathon Weekend, the State Fair, and new restaurants opening that feels like every week. All of those things create jobs. One thing I've noticed over the last several years is that Tampa's restaurant scene has really taken off. It's no longer just chains and tourist spots. We're seeing more chef-driven restaurants, boutique hotels, cocktail bars, breweries, and locally owned businesses opening all over the city. If you followed me for any amount of time, you already know that I love checking out new places, and it's been fun watching that part of Tampa continue to grow. If your background is in hospitality, food and beverage, hotel management, event planning, or tourism, there are definitely opportunities here. This is probably the most important part of the video. People ask me all the time, should I move first and then find a job? My answer is, it really depends. If you're already established in healthcare, skilled trades, financial services, technology, logistics, or hospitality, I generally feel pretty good about Tampa's job market. Those industries continue to grow and there are opportunities throughout the area. But if you're in a very specialized field or you're planning to completely change careers after you move here, I'd probably encourage you to have something lined up first. Moving is stressful enough and buying a house is stressful enough. Starting a new job is stressful enough. Doing all three at the same time without a plan, that's a lot. Whenever possible, I think it's smart to start networking, applying, and interviewing before you pack the moving truck. That doesn't mean you need a signed offer before you move, but having a plan in place can make the transition so much easier. One thing I hope you take away from this video is that Tampa isn't growing by accident. People are moving here because they want the lifestyle, and businesses are growing because the people are here. The job market isn't perfect, no city is. But compared to a lot of places around the country, Tampa has built a pretty diverse economy, and I actually think that's one of Tampa's biggest strengths. If you're thinking about relocating, my advice is to start with your career and then let that help you narrow down where you want to live. The job is only one piece of the puzzle. The neighborhood matters too, and that's exactly why I make these videos. I want you to have a realistic picture of what it's actually like to live here before you make the move. If you're thinking about relocating to the Tampa Bay area and you're not sure where to start, I'd love to help. Whether you're still 6 months out or you're planning your move right now, feel free to reach out. We can talk through your job location, the lifestyle you're looking for, and narrow down the neighborhoods that make the most sense for you. And if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I put out new videos every week about living in Tampa, the housing market, local neighborhoods, restaurants, and everything else you need to know before making the move. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.